It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of March 13th, 1998. We only have 3 movies to look at today, so let's just go ahead and jump on into it. And if you thought the battle between Titanic and U.S. Marshals last week was pretty interesting, we have this new movie that's going up against Titanic, and this movie lost to Titanic as the #1 movie for the 13th week in a row by $300,000. It was that close. And coincidentally, it stars the leading star of Titanic, Leonardo DiCaprio, in a dual role. This is The Man in the Iron Mask. So as I said, Leonardo DiCaprio plays a dual role in this. That's both the title character as well as the villain. And the film centers around the aging 4 musketeers, Athos, Porthos, Aramis, and D'Artagnan, during the reign of King Louis XIV, and it explores the mystery of the Man of the Iron Mask with a plot closer to the 1929 version starring Douglas Fairbanks, The Iron Mask, as well as the 1939 version than the original Dumas book. And, Leonardo DiCaprio was coming off the Titanic zeitgeist, and I think a lot of people went to go see the movie strictly because he was in it. And he's not terrible in the movie. The movie itself is just not that great. This is the first feature film directed by Randall Wallace, who wrote the script for Braveheart, which of course won Best Picture 3 years prior. Then you have Jeremy Irons as Aramis, John Malkovich as Athos, Gerard Depardieu playing Porthos, and Gabriel Byrne playing D'Artagnan. Then you have Anne Perilla as Queen Anne, Peter Sarsgaard, Hugh Laurie. A good cast overall here. Just a film that, it's not really that it's a bad movie. It's a visually pleasing looking film, but it doesn't feel like it knows what type of direction it wants to go into. Does it want to be a straightforward, serious adaptation, or does it want to have a little bit of a flair to it? Something like what we'd see later on in the year with something like The Mask of Zorro, which kind of worked well in mixing action and a little bit of comedy in there, and made for a really entertaining film. But in this case, not so much. It's not that it's a bad movie per se, it's just a film that doesn't really have a whole lot there to really make it stand out. It's nothing too engaging, nothing too that exciting. And I guess DiCaprio's perfectly fine in here, but he's nothing too spectacular in here, like especially when you consider what he was doing in Titanic at the time. But as far as the film goes, saw it once. Not a bad movie, but not a great movie either. I don't think I'd ever want to watch it again, honestly. So that's The Man in the Iron Mask, and at least that movie is a lot better than our next film, which is the infamous Carrot Top film, Chairman of the Board. Yep, I think that pretty much all but sums up everything you need to know about how badly this movie is. This wealthy millionaire, decides to give away all of this money to this random guy he met while he was surfing. I don't know, I've got nothing for you. Like I think honestly that really pretty much sums up everything that's wrong with this movie. Wasting talent, comedy that's not funny, just everything about this movie is just wrong on so many levels. Do I really need to delve into everything that's wrong with this film? You know what I should do? I'll just play the Conan O'Brien clip. I mean, what more do you need to say about it? I love that Courtney Thorne-Smith knew. She knew what the hell was going on there. She was just like, you know what? I like that it happened. That was one of my favorite moments of her life. She literally said that. Is after McDonald died in 2021. And I mean, what else can you possibly say about this movie? Besides that, I mean, that's a perfect sum up about everything that's wrong with this movie. That it's just a bad film that wastes way too many talented people on a script that was clearly dead on arrival, that had no chance of becoming any success whatsoever. They spent $7 million on this movie, and $7 million, as low as that is still way too goddamn much for this movie. Just, what more do I gotta say? It's a terrible film, and I wouldn't be surprised if it contributed to Trimark Pictures shutting down after this. I mean, why wouldn't it? So, let's end this show on a much better note here. Let's talk about a classic movie that's being re-released in the theaters this weekend, and that is Martin Scorsese's, one of his earliest films, Mean Streets. So you have these two guys played by Tony and Michael, played by David Proval and Richard Romanos. They have a neighborhood bar and make deals in the mean streets of New York City's Little Italy. And for Charlie, who's played by Harvey Keitel, the future is less clearly defined. He's a small-town hood. He works for his uncle, making collections and reclaiming bad debts. in love with a woman of whom his uncle disapproves of due to her epilepsy, and a friend of her disturbed cousin, Johnny Boy, played by Robert De Niro, who's a near psychotic whose troublemaking threatens them all. Charlie just cannot reconcile opposing values. A failed attempt to escape to Brooklyn moves them all a step closer to a bitter, almost preordinate future, which, I just read that off of there. I have seen this movie. This is one of the few times where I have seen this movie while reading this synopsis on, like, IMDb, because it's a movie I haven't seen in a long time, but what I remember from it, I did generally enjoy about it. I mean, it's Martin Scorsese. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? And this was actually the first movie Martin Scorsese ever did that got both critical and commercial acclaim, because he had directed 2 other movies before this. He directed Who's That Knocking at My Door, and also he did Boxcar Bertha, which both I'm not too familiar of which ones did better, but this is the one that I know got the best reviews out of his first 3 films, and of course it eventually led to him becoming one of our great directors. And in this trailer, you can definitely see why. In this movie, you can definitely see why. It's a very well made film. It's a great little crime film that comes just right after The Godfather. Kind of changed the game. It didn't need to be The Godfather per se. It just had to make for a very intriguing film. And you have really good characters to work around with here. Harvey Keitel, Robert De Niro, David Provo, Richard Romanos. You all have Martin Scorsese show up in this film. David Carradine's also in here as well. Just a really good cast overall in this film. It's a really well-made film. And like I said, it's been years since I've seen this film, but what I remember from it, I do remember really liking a lot. This was kind of the early... I won't even say that this is one of the first films I ever saw by Martin Scorsese, because that's a lie, because I've seen The Departed, Goodfellas, and all that before then. First time I ever saw this was actually on a Martin Scorsese collection, which actually includes this as well as Alice. I think Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. I think Who's That Knocking on My Door is also on there. And I can't remember what the other one was. I think After Hours might have been that one too. Might have been the last one on there. But it's Martin Scorsese, man. Martin Scorsese very rarely makes a bad film, and Mean Streets is one of the earliest examples of how good of a movie he can really make with that. So, but yeah, if you have not seen Mean Streets, you are doing yourself a huge disservice by not doing so. Definitely check it out. And so on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies as I push back a little bit here. Next time, we take a look at the films of March 20th, including 6 films such as John Travolta and Emma Thompson in the political comedy Primary Colors. We also have Denise Richards, Neve Campbell, and Matt Dillon in Wild Things. Jackie Chan is back with Mr. Nice Guy. We have M. Night Shyamalan's one of his early films with Rosie O'Donnell, Wide Awake, Fireworks, and Niagara. So 6 movies to look at next time around. We'll delve into those on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. So with that said, I will see you guys next time for the next video, and until then, as always, take care.